Hey guys, welcome to another video on the Inside Spurs Show. Happy Sunday morning to you all. I hope the weekend has treated you all well. Obviously, Spurs winning yesterday 3-0 at home to Burnley. We're going to be talking about that game. There's plenty to take away from that game. We're also going to be talking a lot about the updates surrounding Savinho, surrounding Eze. Yeah, plenty of good stuff to get into. Not gonna sort of waste time on that, but you know the rules. When we win a game, subscribe, you're welcome, and join us for the journey. We passed 4,000 subs, by the way, a couple of days ago. So absolute legends, every single one that has subscribed. I appreciate all of you. Morning, Spurs, Sonia. Don't know how to say his first name, but Edwardson, Richarlison, crikey, yeah. Look, good morning to you all. Let's start with a bit of transfer news because that's probably why a lot of you have clicked on here, which I don't blame you. It's exciting. Let's start with Savinho, though, because there is a bit of an update. There's a couple of things, a lot of people got really upset about this update from Fabrizio Romano, who said that even though Savinho remains keen on Tottenham, negotiations are not over yet. Man City are closing the doors to the exit, but in case of improved proposal, stance could change with Spurs wanting to try again. Now, there's another one into that. That is an update that sounds bad on paper, but let's be real, it's not. It's just Man City playing a negotiation tactic to get Spurs back to the table. Man City want Rodrigo. To get Rodrigo, they're selling Savinho. So that there's nothing to worry about in that regard. There's nothing to panic on. There's nothing to get wound up about on that update. It really isn't that big a deal, if I'm honest. It's a tactic. But he did also add the Spurs plan to try again for Savinho this week after the first bid was revealed 1 week ago. So for the people saying we've not even made a bid for Savinho, we absolutely have. It has been rejected. I'd assume we probably made 2 or 3 bids now. I think we probably made 2 bids. This is the third one coming. And I think Spurs do get the deal done. I have faith that they do. Obviously, when we talk about Eze now feels a little bit more advanced. You'll see what I mean in just a second. I think this deal does get done. It might be a touch of an overspend, but, I think you probably are going to get value in other deals that is a bit better. This one, if you're going to go a touch overpriced, it's not always the end of the world. You can't win every negotiation in this world. We know that. Okay. No team wins every negotiation. And I know there are some owners that think they do. They definitely don't. No team does. Okay. But anyway, that is that on Savinho. So we'll see what happens there. But there's a few updates on Eze's front because some of it coincides with their plans if they are to move on from Eze, okay? So you see what I mean in a minute. But late last night, it was coming out that the deal had advanced. The deal was progressed. Personal terms all sorted. Eze's pushing to join Tottenham. It seemed to be that he was going to get left out of the squad for the Chelsea game today. That is not the case. He is actually going to be in the squad today versus Chelsea. Unless that's changed in the last few minutes, he is going to be in the squad for the Chelsea game. Again, very much still, this deal has progressed quite considerably. It's now obviously way more likely that Spurs is going to be getting him. But him playing today for Crystal Palace against Chelsea isn't a big deal. I know some people will get wound up about that. He's a contracted player playing for the team that pays his wages. They are well within their rights because they pay his wages to play him. It really isn't a big deal. And I know some Spurs fans are getting wound up and things like that. The deal can be really close and he can still play. It's not a big deal. I know that some people are getting wound up about it, but regardless, the deal has progressed, okay? The deal has progressed. They're getting down to the nitty-gritty part of the deal. Supposedly, the figure, which was quite interesting, the figure's around 55 million, which is obviously a touch bit lower than where his release clause is of 60 plus 8 on add-ons. So again, I was saying, you're not going to win every single negotiation. And I'm not saying you're winning this one. It's still a lot of money. It's still a decent deal, I think, for all involved. Obviously, it'll be coming down to, payment structures, if there's add-ons, all that sort of thing. So, again, this one feels like it's going to be done. I thought Savinho was further ahead than Eze's deal only a few days ago. It feels like it's switched a little bit. I think this one gets done. I mean, the one thing I'd say is, I go on holiday on Wednesday morning. Does this deal get done by Wednesday morning? That's where in my head I'm looking at it. I'm going to say it does. I've got faith that he plays today. He has a medical Tuesday, Wednesday, but I think it's going to get done personally. Morning, Milton. How are you? Christ, rough one. I hope you're okay, Milton, mate. I hope you're okay. Joel, how are we? I'm good. Thank you for asking as well. Leon, Joey, Lee, how are we all? Let's talk about the game in just a second. Don't worry, I'm coming to it. I'm just rounding off with a little bit of the Eze news, and then we're going to talk about Burnley. It feels like this is going to be the one of the two that's going to progress quicker. I feel like it is going to get done this week. It'll be midweek. I think he'll be in the squad for Man City next weekend. Obviously, Spurs play 12:30 next Saturday, I think it is. Don't hold me to that. I don't exactly know. But I know it's Man City away next weekend. Obviously, massive game. City looked quite good yesterday against Wolves. We looked obviously fairly all right against Burnley. We looked good against PSG. So both teams coming in with some decent form. So there's that. But no, I think he's going to be in the squad. I've always said as well, with Savinho, I think they're looking at it going, well, look, we want to cash in on him and we want to get Rodrigo, but we don't really want to give Spurs the player to play against us. We'd rather just hold off an extra week, sell him on, even if it's agree a deal on Saturday, because obviously he's not going to be able to, he has to be registered by lunchtime on Friday. As long as it's like after that lunchtime on Friday, they'll agree a deal and they'll go, yeah, you can have him, not a problem. And then they can start working on Rodrigo and it's not a big deal. But yeah, it sounds like Rodrigo's where they are at with their moves with Savinho. With Crystal Palace, they're looking at El Canous from Leicester City. They were looking at someone else as well, David Ornstein, player from Club Bruges, I think it was. Hang on. Let me find it. They've approached Club Bruges for Christos Tzolis as an option like El Canous to replace Eze. So there you go. I think what could also be delaying the deal a little bit for both these teams in terms of Man City and Crystal Palace is they just want to sort, a replacement. And that's absolutely fine. It's not always about the buying club. The selling club has things that they need to do as well. So again, I think both will get done. I'm not panicking about it. There's still a good couple of weeks left of the window. Get the deals done. Obviously, centre-back wise, obviously we've had interest in Hincapie. We'll see what else comes out. Obviously, there's been chatter for a good few weeks around Spurs wanting another centre-back. We'll have to go and see who that is. Obviously, there's still, situations with Vuskovic. Is he going to stay? Is he going to go out on loan? So there's still a lot of business, I think, Spurs to do in the next 2 weeks. I'm going to be on holiday on Wednesday for about a week. Oh God, I'm gonna have to find a way to talk to you and go live from time to time when I've not drank too many drinks. So there you go. Danny, how are we? Kudus play well, don't you think? Absolutely. CDC, how are we? Where am I going? I'm going to Spain. There you go. God, playing career mode. Fair play to you, Chief. I gave up with FIFA. I gave up with it all. Anyway, let's talk about the game yesterday because obviously Spurs did play yesterday if you didn't know. And actually, There was a lot that I want to talk about in this game. Obviously, Richie and Kudus, the midfield, all sorts. Spurs obviously started the game like house on fire. They scored in the first 10 minutes. We looked really, really good. And then we sort of just lost our way a little bit for the rest of the half. Probably for about 25, 30 minutes, we lost our way. And Burnley grew into the game and actually created quite a few interesting opportunities. I think Burnley's issue this year will be scoring. Defensively, look, it is what it is. It's first game of the season away at Spurs, European champions and X, Y, and Z. Their season isn't predicated on this sort of fixture. I think I think defensively they'll probably be all right. I just think goals are going to be where their issues lay. But anyway, Spurs had 16 shots, 6 on target, 68% possession, 6 corners. Burnley had 14 for 32% and 5 corners, right? I think Spurs were top for about 5 minutes until Sunderland won 3-0, which great result for them. Then we scored 2 in 6 minutes in the second half. 66 minutes in, Brennan Johnson scores obviously the third, game over. I thought for the first half there were some good showings. I thought Spence looked good. I thought Porro looked decent. I thought Bergvall, Gray and Pape struggled a little bit in the first half, sort of lost the way, didn't get on the ball very much. It was a very disjointed team. Got to the second half and completely different. Very, very good second half. I thought all 3 of them played well. I thought Archie looked a lot better in midfield. This is the first time I looked at him in midfield and thought he played well. Lucas at times was just taking a little bit too long on the ball, and it was driving me a little bit bonkers, the amount of times that he sort of wasn't seeing the pass and the vision. Again, looked better in the second half. And I thought Pape was great again. And he's really taken his pre-season form into PSG and yesterday, and he's looked probably so far through pre-season and those games our best player, if I'm honest. So looked very, very good. The back 5, including the goalkeeper, solid as a rock. There's a couple of times that we got caught out, and another day that maybe Burnley would have, probably capitalised on it. That will improve and get better. I'm not too worried about it. But again, the back 5 came through. No injuries as well, which is nice. The front 3, I thought Jono struggled in the first half. I won't lie. I did think Jono struggled in the first half. I thought second half he did get a lot better and obviously scored. He scored the third. And it was a lovely finish, by the way. Pape, Pape playing him in behind onto his, really onto strides and sort of slides it past Dubravka. It was a very good finish. And, Johnson scoring again. What a surprise. What a surprise. He does the thing that's hardest in football, scoring. And Kudus and Richarlison have got this little link-up play at the moment, which looks absolutely fantastic. And look, I wasn't the biggest Kudus fan when we come to talk about him being signed. And I always said, but if Frank wants him, so do I. That's the way we should all feel about all signings. That we should always back the manager in terms of who he wants, because actually, at the end of the day, he's the one that is the manager. We're just fans. But 2 goals for Richarlison, 2 assists for Kudus, like a fantastic Premier League debut for Kudus, and looked very good, beating his man. His delivery was actually pretty decent as well. I mean, Richarlison's first goal, where Kudus sort of beats his man, he sort of gets to the byline, he sort of, it's not a great cross, but Richarlison, peels off his defender, and then it's a lovely finish, the first one. I know people want to talk about the second one, but the first one's a lovely finish to wrap his foot around it into the bottom corner. It's a great finish for Richie, and, kudos to him. I mean, a lot of us thought he was probably gone this summer, and it looks like he's going to be here for the season for sure. I mean, the second goal is just ridiculous. Kudus, again, beating his man to the byline, ball at the back post, Richarlison peels off, and it hits a bicycle, and it's an unbelievable goal. It's probably goal of the season so far. I know we're only a few games in, so don't cry about it. But that second goal was just bonkers by Richarlison. So, kudos to both of those two. But coming off the bench, I was really happy, by the way, that we had rotated. Johnson's come into the team. Danso's obviously come out. Gray and Bergvall come into the team. Paulinho and Bentancur have come out. you know, looking at the bench yesterday, Bentancur comes off the bench, Solanke's off the bench, Matisse Tell, João Palhinha, Wilson Odobert all come off the bench. You know, good rotations. You know, and I know people kind of go, and I spoke about it in my preview. A lot of people kind of go, you know, well, you're only right. You only started the season. You played 3 days ago. I get it, but you've only just started the season. You shouldn't need to rotate already. And my attitude is, no, but if you've got the ability to rotate, rotate, because at the end of the day, we know what Spurs are like when it comes to injuries. Once we get one or two, we get another 4 or 5 right on top of that. So actually, let's rotate, learn from the mistakes of last season, and get players back healthy and fit. I mean, we're missing Kulusevski, we're missing Maddison, we're missing a doggy. I don't think Solanke's, sharp yet because obviously the injuries as well. We're missing some players. Let's rotate. And obviously, Dragic, I've missed him as well. Let's rotate whilst we can, because there's going to come parts in the season where we're not going to be able to rotate as frequently and as much as we'd like. Well, whilst we can, let's do that. Let's try and keep players as fresh as possible. And, bringing Palhinha and Bentancur off the bench to see out a game is fantastic. I mean, two very good professionals. I'm not saying Palhinha was always a great player. I still, again, it wasn't a player that I was wanting as much, but if Frank wants him, so do I. That's the attitude. As per, we continue that on. But to see out a game, solid, And I know we were 3-0 up by that time, and they came on in the, bear with me, Palhinha, 80th minute, Bentancur, 71st minute. So basically sort of the last sort of 15, 20 minutes of the game to see it out, I thought was really, really solid. So, yeah, I mean, lots of great takeaways from this game. Obviously, Man City next weekend is going to be one hell of a game. And, I know we've had some success with Man City, but, it's still away at Man City. I know that we've had some good times against them in the last sort of 5-6 years. It's the Etihad. I never feel confident going to the Etihad, and we're going to have to turn up and play a full 90 minutes, like the 80 minutes that we play against PSG. We need to play a full 90 minutes like that to get good results out of it. So we'll see on that front. But, great performance in terms of the second half. First half was a bit hit and miss, but it's a great second half performance. Again, you're killing off the game, and that was the important thing. And also, it was Spurs' joint biggest matchday 1 victory in the Premier League, alongside their win versus Southampton in 2022-2023, which was a 4-1 win. So there you go. That's not too bad either. When you sort of look at this squad and you factor in Eze and Savinho and maybe a defender, you start to look at it and go, holy crap. That squad is really starting to take shape here. And you should be excited. In my opinion, you should be excited, Malaga. Well, Malaga is where I'm going, CDC. Christian, how are we? Actually far too safe in possession. I mean, again, when you're playing number 6, it was more so, when you play a number 6, I don't need the number 6 to dictate possession as much as the number 8 and Pape, getting forward and box crashing. I didn't mind it as much. I thought Bergvall at times was a little bit too safe, more so than Archie, but I didn't mind. I thought they both played well, and he looked quite solid in terms of his defensive work. Too early, no, but Richie and Kudus whisper a little like Sonny and Kane. Good Lord. Steampunk, how are we? I'm good. I hope you're all right. Gibbo, how are you? Appreciate the 4,000 comment. Appreciate it. Yeah, we hit over 4,000 subscribers a couple of days ago, which is pretty damn cool. That number 4 looks really, really good. And I know I've not been live very much in the last few weeks because of being as busy as I am. It's still cool that you guys want to kick about and talk football with me. It's quite nice. But let's sort of look ahead now. And Spurs, obviously, next weekend, 12:30 kickoff against Manchester City. That's going to be a fascinating old game. I think watching Man City and watching Tijani Reinders yesterday and watching, that team yesterday, Cherky and all sorts, I was just like, yeah, I think City are going to be thereabouts this season. Proper good team that was. Look at the compensation videos on YouTube. Savinho is just mesmerising on both wings. You could even argue he's way more effective on the left wing than he is the right wing. You could, you know. Callum, how are we, mate? It was great to see Frank use tactics and use and trust. But I found great in those positions against the lesser teams. Again, for me, the more we can rotate, the better we're going to be long term. Simple as that. Simple as that. Reckon Paulinho starts against City? I do, yeah. Back five, yeah. I think it'll be similar formation versus Manchester City than the one we had against PSG. So, Man City 2, Spurs 3. Charles is better than Moane. It's the deck he had, but will still be their bogey team without him. Mate, I don't know how to explain it. I don't think Man City fans can explain it. I don't think Spurs fans can explain it. Because Man City could win 20 games in a row, and then Spurs, who have lost 20 games in a row, can rock up and beat them. And everyone goes, I don't know how that works. And no, there's no reason for it, if you know what I mean, in terms of like, it's just we are a bogey team for them. You know, we've got our own bogey teams, but we are their bogey team. And I mean, it's cool, don't get me wrong, but it's also like, how the hell is that possible, you know? But looking ahead, yeah, obviously 12:30 kickoff next week. Obviously, the preview for that will probably be out Thursday. I'll probably pre-record that and get some videos edited and things like that today, so I can get things uploaded. Maybe, obviously, being away, it's a bit more difficult. I want to be able to kick back and relax in the sun and drink too much and eat too much. You know, tapas and paella and things like that. So I'll try my best. But no, I'm looking forward to it. I will watch that game. I will. I'll be in a Spanish bar probably somewhere, but I will watch that game. And I'll be there. I'll be there panicking like the rest of you. Don't you worry. I should be a little bit more drunk than all of you probably. But look, no, just rounding off the game yesterday. Great performance. The lads played well. Good to see some rotation as well. I think I'm Thomas Frank's starting with a back five and he starts with back fours and he's got options in that regard. And I think that's a good thing. I think it's a good thing. Do you think we get Eze if he's playing today? I still think we get Eze, and yes, he is playing today. So he will play against Chelsea. But we'll see. We'll see on that regard. Yeah. Just have a quick little look to see if there is any updates on Eze. I don't think there is anything. I've not seen any flash ups or anything like that. Let's have a quick look. Yeah, Romano now are saying Eze and Gay both starting today for Crystal Palace. Negotiations for Eze to Tottenham remain advanced, but deal not sealed yet. So Glasgow wants to trust Eberiche. Yeah, so the deal's advanced. You know, that's the key thing here. Yeah, and the deal's advanced. It will get done. It's just, yeah, he's just playing today. It's not a big deal. He's a contracted player. Imagine Eze, Savinho, Hincapié, Kudus, 9 out of 10 window cooking. Players still got to leave. Players have still got to leave. Let's see what happens on the Basuma front. Vuskovic probably goes out on loan. I'm going to guess right now. And I don't mind that, to be honest. I know people want him to stay and play cup games, but I'd rather him play 40, 45 times in the Bundesliga and the German Cups this season than play 15 games for Spurs. You're better off just getting cracking minutes. He might be ready next season to be playing. You never know. I think Eze comes with pass our replacement. They're working on it. Chelsea also interested in Hincapié. Yeah, but Chelsea are interested in every player. I wouldn't worry too much about that now. Chelsea are probably interested in me playing for him, you know. Actually, I'd probably be the only player they're not interested in. Hamstrings are knackered. I'm also way too heavy. Says that. But look, thank you so much for joining me this morning, everyone. Please go and enjoy the rest of the football today. You've got Chelsea. You've got United, Arsenal at 4:30. So please go enjoy the rest of the football. Hopefully back tomorrow evening to talk a lot more about Spurs. But if not, I'll see you when I see you. I'll see you when I'm speaking to you. Please take care of yourself. Peace.